Okay, let's talk about debt. For a lot of us, just hearing that word is enough to make you feel a little anxious, right? But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if debt isn't just a trap, but actually a tool that, if you use it correctly, can help you build wealth? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Is debt this giant trap designed to keep you stuck, or is it a powerful tool you can use to get ahead? The answer is, well, it's kind of both. It all depends on how you use it, and the key is in knowing the difference.
And really, it all comes down to this. Not all debt is created equal. You've got good debt over here, which is borrowing money for things that can actually grow in value or make you more money in the long run. Think a mortgage for a house or a loan to get a degree that'll boost your career. Then you've got bad debt. And this is the tricky stuff. It's debt that you use to buy things that are gone in a flash, funding regular expenses on a credit card or taking out a loan for a big vacation. So let's focus on the good stuff. How can we actually use debt to our advantage and borrow for a better future? Here's when borrowing can be a really smart move. First, when you're buying something that will likely go up in value over time, an appreciating asset, like property. Second, when you're literally investing in yourself, like with an education loan that increases your future earning power. And here's a surprising one. Sometimes it's smarter to take a loan than to cash out your long-term investments because you don't want to mess with the power of compounding, that magic where your money starts making its own money. This right here gets to the absolute heart of it. Before you borrow money for anything, just ask yourself this one simple question. Is this an investment expenditure, something that could make me money down the line? Or is it a consumption expenditure for something like a fancy dinner that's gone once it's over? Answering that honestly can totally change your financial game. Of course, debt always comes with a price tag. And a lot of the time, the real cost is kind of hidden. So let's go find that hidden price tag. One of the sneakiest financial traps out there is revolving credit. It sounds innocent enough, right? If you don't pay your whole credit card bill, the balance just revolves or rolls over to the next month. But that simple little rollover is where a tiny debt can explode into a massive problem. So how dangerous are we talking? Well, let's say your card charges 3% interest a month. That sounds small. You might do the math and think, okay, 3% times 12 months, that's 36% a year. But nope, that's not how it works. Because of compounding working against you this time, the real effective annual interest rate is a jaw-dropping 42.6%. This is exactly how people get trapped, and it's why carrying a credit card balance is one of the fastest ways to burn through your money. So, how do you avoid those insane interest rates? Your secret weapon is your credit score. Seriously, think of it like your financial report card. Lenders look at this one number to figure out how risky it is to lend you money. A high score unlocks lower interest rates on everything, and that can save you a ton of money over your lifetime. Building a great credit score, which is usually a number between 300 and 900, really just comes down to a few good habits. Here are the big four. Number one, and this is the most important, always pay your bills on time. Number two, keep your credit utilization low. That just means don't max out your credit cards. Try to use less than 30% of your limit. 3, it helps to have a mix of different types of credit. And finally, number 4, don't apply for a bunch of new credit all at once. It can make you look desperate for cash. Okay, that's all great for the future. But what if you're already in debt? First, take a breath. Don't worry, there is absolutely a way out. We just need an escape plan. When it comes to paying off debt, there are two famous strategies, the avalanche and the snowball. You can think of it as a battle between your brain and your emotions. The avalanche is the purely logical, mathematical choice. You attack the debt with the highest interest rate first, which saves you the most money in the long run. The snowball, on the other hand, is all about psychology. You pay off your smallest debt first, no matter the interest rate. The goal here is to get a quick win and build momentum to keep you going. Okay, let's see how this actually works. Take a look at this example. If you're using the avalanche method, you look at the interest rates and go straight to that 42% credit card, then the 21% personal loan. Makes sense. But if you're using the snowball method, you look at the balance. You'd still start with the credit card since it's also the smallest debt, but then you jump to the car loan because it's the next smallest balance. You get that second win faster, even though the personal loan is technically costing you more. So what if you can't decide between the math and the motivation? Well, there's actually a third way called the Blizzard method. It's pretty clever. It's a hybrid that gives you the best of both. You start with the snowball, knock out that smallest debt to get that awesome feeling of progress. Then, riding that wave of motivation, you switch gears to the avalanche and throw everything you've got at your highest interest debt. See? Once you have a solid plan, you can start making that big shift from feeling like you're just a borrower to becoming the owner of your own financial future. Let's just wrap up with the key principles that will get you there. So here are the golden rules for responsible borrowing. First, and this sounds obvious, but never borrow more than you can actually afford to pay back. Second, try to make sure your borrowing is for things that grow in value. Third, please treat credit cards like debit cards. If you can't pay off the balance every single month, just don't swipe it. And finally, keep an eye on your debt-to-income ratio to make sure things don't get out of hand.
All right, this last idea, this is a true game changer. Most people live by this formula. Income minus expenses equals whatever is left for savings. But financially successful people literally flip that equation. They live by this. Income minus savings equals what's left for expenses. It's called paying yourself first. You decide on your savings goal, you put that money away immediately, and then you figure out how to live on the rest. It's a small change in mindset, but it has massive results.
We have covered so much ground here, from good versus bad debt to real strategies you can use to pay it off. But none of this information means anything without action. So the only question that really matters is this one. What is the first step? The one thing that you are going to do to start taking control of your debt and building the future you want?